You're listening to Opera Box Score.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Wherever you are, however you're listening, it's America's talk radio show about opera. It's Opera Box Score. I am Ashley Hargrave, joined today by Oliver Camacho. All right, this week, it's a Santa Fe spectacular. First, we go inside the huddle with their hometown hero, Kevin Burdette. The American bass, dubbed the Robin Williams of opera, recently gave his 100th performance at Santa Fe and his 15th role for the company. Then Florian Sempey takes a free throw on his time at Santa Fe Opera. French baritone is wrapping up his American debut in one of his signature roles, Count Almaviva in The Marriage of Figaro. Plus, in the 2-minute drill, a fake philanthropist swindles the Met. Melania the opera is set to premiere in September, and our own George Cederquist pays tribute to the late Robert Wilson. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Spotify. You're going to click follow on Apple Podcasts. You're going to hit that plus sign. You can also email us your hot takes by writing a mailbag to mailbag@operaboxscore.com, or you can upload a voice memo using the You Got Something to Say tab on our website, which is, guess what? operaboxscore.com. However you contribute, you'll get an OBS beer coaster, an OBS lapel pin, and a #1 OBS fan foam finger just for sharing your own hot take. It is another very special vintage of OBS this week where it is the Ashley Oliver Show. Oliver Camacho, how are you today?
I am great. I just got back from Santa Fe Opera, and I want to share my reflections with everybody. After our first interview segment, we have a jam-packed show as I bring back lots of content from the festival. But before we get into our first interview, I've got to hear about JCS.
Wow. Speaking of just got back, I just got back from Los Angeles, which turned into the most anticipated live theater event of the year, Jesus Christ Superstar at the Hollywood Bowl. I got to go there for opening night, and it was transcendent. I am forever changed. A couple of quick hits here. Adam Lambert, as much as I wasn't necessarily going for him, I am now completely convinced he's the only person who should ever be allowed to sing Judas ever again. My darling Raul Esparza, I like to call him a Broadway cicada. He shows up every couple of years to do something magical on Broadway or in a Broadway style. He'll do Company, he'll do Speed the Plow, and then he'll go away and live on his Law and Order SVU money for a couple of years, and then he'll come back and do something incredible. So this JCS was his comeback, and he was a whole person and a whole character as Pilate. Actually, his casting is what sealed the deal for me to pony up and get the ticket. And of course, our darling friend of the show, Zachary James, straight up dominated as Caiaphas.
And towered over everybody, right?
He literally towered over everybody and garnered a lot of oohs and okays when he was singing the low notes in This Jesus Must Die. And Cynthia, she's superhuman. I don't understand how she leaves a piece of herself with us every time she performs something. It was really so beautifully sung and so beautifully acted. There was a real return to this idea of Jesus sort of being just a man. There's a lot of production of JCS where they try to have him visibly touching people and healing the sick and, taking care of the lame. So they didn't really do any of that. In fact, she never visibly healed anybody during the production. And there were moments where you could see that she was instructed to be very overwhelmed, especially when she comes into the temple. And it was a really interesting and beautiful way to sort of return to the original. Also, to have two queer leads, some of the lines just hit differently. For example, the line, "They only need a small excuse to put us all away," feels very different when you've got somebody like Adam Lambert singing that to somebody like Cynthia Erivo. Also to have, this very diminutive, tiny Black queer woman playing Jesus against this very tall, towering Judas, and of course, tall Zachary James and Caiaphas. The 39 lashes section was particularly uncomfortable in a moving but also very unnerving way. The orchestrations themselves were only a little bit modernized. It's a rock opera, but they did put in some incredibly epic horn calls that I do not recall from the original. And of course, some really great guitar rock riffs. The staging was pretty simple. The choreo was out of control for the ensemble. They were dancing their faces off. Oh, and by the way, Andrew Lloyd Webber came out for the curtain call. So he just sort of showed up. But, overall, it really was one of the most incredible performances I've seen in several years. And, the 17,000 plus seat house sold out 3 straight performances. There is footage everywhere, all over the internet. Plus,
I saw the footage. Was it like broadcast into the auditorium or into the stadium so people could see what was happening up close? Or
yes. So basically, it's if you've ever been to Ravinia or any of those outdoor venues, they've got those gigantic screens, and so there's the video design that happens to get people onto those screens. So like I was sitting very far back, I could see the action on the stage, but I relied on those large screens for the close-ups to really understand what was happening in the acting. So they have a lot of video from that they could easily turn into like a PBS Great Performances or some other form of video broadcast. I'd be shocked if they didn't do it. But yeah, the actual video and production design of that component was really lovely because you got the opportunity to sort of be in the moment and just seeing the people on stage, however tiny they were, because I was in one of the very back rows, but also they had those moments of the camera being very up close so you could see things. Watch every clip of JCS that you can find. That interpretation of Gethsemane from Cynthia Erivo, I'm still not emotionally recovered. I'm not sure when I will be. I have been a full evangelist, pun intended, for everybody that I come in contact with to be like, have you seen this? Have you watched this on YouTube? You must. So yeah, overall, it was a really, really incredible evening with some really incredible performances. Truly the original rock opera. Speaking of that, let's talk some opera.
Huddle up. Let's go inside the huddle.
Part 1 of our Santa Fe Opera Spectacular will be a long interview with bass Kevin Burdette, one of the funniest people in opera. If you need a funny guy who sings bass, you're going to hire Kevin Burdette. Santa Fe Opera realized that about him many years ago, and he has sung in 16 productions. It's not clear how many characters he's actually sung on the stage, but it's over 16. And he has made his 100th performance. He's given his 100th performance earlier in July of this summer. I want to mention that this interview took place not in the fancy media room at the Crosby Theater, but actually in the Santa Fe Opera sort of artist village. We were in a administrative office which overlooked the cantina. It was my first time in that space, and some people walk by while we're having an interview, and you'll notice an interruption somewhere in the middle of the interview. Without further ado, before we join this interview, here is Kevin Burdette singing one of his signature roles, Dr. Bartolo, in The Barbersville. This is from a 2014 production at Opera Philadelphia.
Disposto a perdonar. Non ballate, vi ostinate, non ballate, vi ostinate, su venio quel che ho da far, su venio quel che ho da far.
My guest today is American-based, dubbed the Robin Williams of opera.
Nonsense.
Kevin Burdette, welcome to Opera Box Score.
Thanks for having me.
The sound is going to be weird today. One of my microphones is not working, so we're sharing a mic.
Aye.
So we're almost kissing. But I know that you like move around a lot, so audience, just be heads up that
That's right. That's right. He's far away. He's right beside me.
that's like Grover. Far, near, far. I wanted to talk to you, and I realized that we have so much to talk to you. But I saw you sing Barbara Seville the first year back from COVID. And I should have asked to speak to you right after I saw that performance because I was like just impressed on a way that I'm generally not impressed. And that makes me sound like a jerk.
No, I love it.
But first of all, it was such a great show. Ryan Speedo Green making his Santa Fe debut as Basilio. Jack Swanson.
Ridiculous. Who just did the Met since subsequently. Yeah. Jack. I mean, Jack, just for days.
Yeah. Emily Fon singing Rosina, like born to sing that music.
Correct.
And And then
and
you
funny.
come along and sing Bartolo. And it was already, and there was already enough going on in that production that made me happy. I did not know what I was getting with you because it was my first time seeing you perform.
Subtle, it was subtle.
Yeah, you're definitely like an actor for the small screen, you know?
Yeah, right, totally. Lean in, catch what he's doing.
So I want the audience to know that just like you have this skill that we don't really associate with opera singers, and that is you're physical. Like you are willing to contort your body and do pratfalls and just make a buffoon out of yourself and maybe potentially injure yourself.
It happens. It has happened, yes. In that show.
Yeah, in the service of that role, which you've sung everywhere
A lot of places, yeah.
And so it was amazing.
Oh, you're awesome.
And I just have to figure out like, where did this come from? I mean, did you go, I'm trying to look at your CV and I see you did like some young artist program or apprentice studio program in France.
I did in Paris. That was something.
Yeah.
That was part of my journey into how to use my body. Was not to just interrupt you.
Yeah. No, that's the question. People know who listens. I'd never finished my question, so you have to interrupt me.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so so when I was in Paris, I had the great fortune of doing an Elixir of Love, but as part of the studio. So maybe over the course of 2.5, 3 months, staging an Elixir of Love with Paolo Montarsolo, one of the great buffos of his generation. And so to work multiple hours a day with Paolo, who has so he's rooted in the buffo style. He knows the commedia origins of what we're doing, but also he's funny. And he actually cares that the joke he tells with his body or with the words is funny to him. And one of the most important things I learned from Paolo, because before that I was a basso. I would sing Fiesco, LOL, and I'd sing Sarastro. And then I worked with Paolo and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I can figure out how to make something funny my way. If it's rooted, I mean, it's got to be in the sandbox.
Yeah.
But you can, it's a pretty big sandbox. And so I learned from Paolo. If it's funny, here's what I did. It's funny to me. If it's not funny to you, what's funny to you?
When I was still studying, my acting teacher said, I'm a clown. Accused me of being a clown.
Accused, hardly. Yeah. Praised you for being.
Well, I was 20 years old and I didn't really know how to take that.
Right.
And it hurt when I heard it, you know.
I hear you.
But I understood what she meant later on.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, maybe I need to investigate this. So I took some clown classes. I did a little bit of commedia dell'arte, did some mask work.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, she was right. This is very natural for me to just, remove the ego on stage.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. But that's also, that's what, for me, it's like, if you're going to perform and tell stories, you have to fall in love with the idea of revealing yourself. You just have to. And sometimes if you're singing Edgardo, that's revealing yourself through the beauty of your tone and the sadness and whatever. But sometimes it's just, I'm revealing myself because this is how I move. And this is the impulse. And that's how audiences, okay. So I'm going to start yelling. Can I yell?
Yeah, go ahead. So far, you haven't peaked my recording yet. So.
Have I peaked your interest, though? Well, this is, I don't know. There was a guy named Kohevi, a Polish immigrant philosopher in Paris in the 20th century. And he talked about how, as human beings, we cannot exist alone. We have to exist as part of something bigger, of a community, of a relation. It's something. We perish if we just are by ourselves. Therefore, our greatest need, our most atavistic desire is to be seen. And to be heard and to be respected. And so that's why we do opera. It's why we tell stories. It's also why people come to see opera. When I go to an opera, if someone's revealing themselves, if your story is partly my story, I am seen. And we are vibrating together. And that's what can make opera storytelling transcendent. What are we even talking about? Sorry.
Well, we're talking about, I was trying to figure out where you picked up these skills because they're not things we get as opera singers. We're not trained to do these things. So did you have to do once you decided, Paolo Montarsolo, I get it. Now let me go investigate how to be buffo,
Yeah, a little bit. I did deep dive in commedia. I was actually very fortunate. Right after work with Paolo, I did a Don Pasquale with Chuck Hudson. I don't know if you've ever worked with Chuck, but Chuck worked with maybe Marcel Marceau.
Okay.
And so we did a week of mime work just because he set the Don Pasquale back in about commedia times. And so even that, just sort of seeing how you can break down a bit. And so how you can set up expectations and then break the expectation. All of that sort of was, it partially informed the way I do physical comedy.
Any training on this idea of like the sequence of thought to eyes to gesture to voice? Like,
oh my gosh, I love that. Dude, tell me again. Tell me about this. This is amazing.
When you're going to move your body, it has to be the penultimate thing you do. The singing is the last thing you do. So first you have to have the idea.
Yes.
Then you have to be able to show it in your eyes that something's about to happen. Then it happens in the body. And then the voice. Then the voice is last. Yeah. That's the timing. And that's how we naturally time things, like without thinking about it.
That's beautiful.
But when we're on stage, suddenly you see like people remembering their blocking or remembering their stage direction.
Yes.
And like they're trying to move and it doesn't quite fit, you know. It's
absolutely
it's like,
right.
Hey, call me. Like naturally, this is not a video, but you know, naturally this lands right when it's supposed to land, you know.
Yeah,
but
it's all tied together. That's brilliant. You know. I've not thought of that, but it ties a little bit into something I like to. I'm diving in on. Mike Nichols would say that we're not actually, not especially in opera. I don't know. He would say this about opera. We're not necessarily characters speaking. We're characters thinking. Like a lot of times when I say "Die Bildnis ist bezaubernd schön," which I don't say because obviously who wants to hear me sing that? I'm not saying it.
No, you said it, not me. But yeah, sure.
Yeah, not very well either. I'm thinking it, and so like I need it, and that imbues everything we do.
Because there's so much time you have to use up. It's
correct.
Like,
correct.
And like in Baroque opera, at least we knew that was an exit. So like, you know, you have time to like do one twirl around the stage, show your costume, and then you exit, you know?
Yeah.
But there's all this ritornello music. And in Mozart, there's like Porgi Amor. You're sitting on stage for a full minute.
Yes.
And people are watching you.
Yes.
What are you going to do before
That's right. While you're sitting there.
Exactly.
Totally. There is, I forget who told me this, but one of the thing I love to tell, I work some with young artists now, dramatically. Good God, not vocally, pardon my French, because they can sing better than I can, baby. I tell them I want them to imbue everything they say on stage, or even the minute before they say something, with a feeling of, I need you to know. I need you to know, por amor, or I need you to know. And that is not just, you're not like, you're really imbuing it, giving over that footlights. For me, that is, okay, so right. Ted Altshuler was one of my acting teachers at Juilliard. And he talks about how opera, really any storytelling, is a combination of horizontal storytelling, some people would call it chronological, and vertical storytelling, or perhaps psychological storytelling. And opera is at its best in the vertical moments. So if you can just, who am I? Where am I? Where are those days? I love her. I love him. What happens next? Where am I going? All those moments, that's when opera becomes transcendent. And so Porta d'Amore is just this one vertical moment. And you can just live with what Mozart's going deeper and deeper into the verticality, the psychology of who you are before you just start singing. You talked about this with Jackie.
Yeah. Well,
you talked about Porta d'Amore with Jackie, didn't you? Because she just sang Contessa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed when people present that aria because I feel like it is so quintessential Mozart.
Yes.
And that you have to sing a scale. And
yes.
It's not a fast scale. It's a slow scale. And how many people sing slow scales?
Never. This is so true.
Yeah. And you have a full minute of just like being there. Well, you have actually 45 minutes of waiting backstage.
That's right.
And then a minute of being in front of the audience.
Absolutely.
And trying to communicate your character before you open your mouth. You know?
Absolutely.
And I've seen so many people just not make it. Not,
I mean, but because it's up high. It's a big ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the young artist thing in a minute, but your relationship with Santa Fe, I want the people to know that you've been here a minute. You've been here a bit.
I've been here a bit. Yeah. I did. When you're old like me, Oliver, it's counting stats matter, apparently. I had my 100th performance on Santa Fe stage this summer.
Did they have like a cake for you or something?
Yeah, metaphorically.
Okay. Those are the best cakes because they don't have gluten. You know.
Correct.
But have they recognized early that this is your skill and try to find things for you to do? Okay.
Absolutely. They, my debut here was in a Minati opera called The Last Savage. Okay. And it was a comedy. I think they called it like a grande opera buffa or something like that. It's legitimately funny. The way for instance, my character and Jamie Barton's character have interacted in the past, but I don't remember it. And so 3 times in the course of the show, she would approach me and goes, "Have you ever been to Cairo?" And I'm like, "No." And then next act, "Have you ever been to Portugal?" No. And then the last one, have you ever been to, I don't remember the cities, but have you ever been to Paris? Yeah. Wait a minute. I know who you are. So like setups, like really smart setups. And the director of that show was Ned Canty, who is a genius, and his comedy, he is so good at comedy. He's good at everything, but he and I really click on comedy, and we did spit takes on that.
Okay.
So the first one, and like spit takes are great, but spit takes, like you have to work on those. Like you have to do the work.
Yeah.
Like just like you studied clowning.
Yeah.
Like you have to do the work. You can't just, we understand as an audience member, if you do a spit take, you're telling it's funny and it will get an opera laugh.
Yeah.
It will, because it's opera funny.
Yeah.
Just like I used to be opera handsome.
Then Ryan Speedo Green comes out on stage.
And then he's like, oh, that's real handsome. I'm getting it now. Yesterday, he sends a shirto.
Yeah, it's important that Wotan appears without a shirt. It really tells us
wildly important. It says Wagner had it. That's, Wagner actually wrote all of Wotan without a shirt on. So I did a deep dive on spit takes. Like I did a really deep dive, and I decided the arc of my spit takes were going to be starting with an old school Danny Thomas spit take, which is a double propulsion spit take, straight out. Okay. And then the second spit take needed to be what I call the Arsenio Hall spit take from Coming to America, which is when someone comes from one side, you spit the other way. So Jamie Barton came right here, and I went like that. And the last one had to be this sort of protracted. At one point, I thought it was going to be the Gene Wilder spit take from Young Frankenstein, which is just nothing. But there's a read on a stage.
Yeah.
And so we went the exact opposite. Ned said it either has to be almost nothing or everything. And so I did an everyone.
I did not know this was going to end up being a taxonomy of spit takes. Do you have that somewhere in a guide for your students?
Absolutely. No, it's chapter 14. It's the wet chapter. Of all the pages are wrinkled because it's just people practicing it over and over again.
So you've done premieres here as well as some of the classic Buffo parts. I feel like comedy is so hard to write. And like we really take for granted that, Gilbert and Sullivan, Donizetti, Rossini, like they were so good at it. Mozart was so good at it.
Yes.
Have you don't have, without naming names, have you done any, you could name names in there. Have you done any new operas that was really funny? Like I think, no.
I have. I'll tell you some of the funny things. Like I was in Becoming Santa Claus, Mark Adamo.
Oh yeah.
And Mark's a clever man and super funny. And there were some, Jenny was in that. Jenny Rivera was in that. And
they came to Chicago. I didn't see that cast, but I saw that opera. So I don't know why I said like so excited because I love Jenny.
Because Jenny's amazing. It was an amazing cast. It was Keith Jameson. It was Matt Bowler. It was like all the people. And me too. Lucy Shaver, like incredible cast. Was I saying something? And it's funny. Okay. It is funny. Like he wrote me, and Mark, what I loved about it is Mark knows all those singers. And he wrote it specifically for the singer. So like one of my shannas was a rap. Okay. It was like, and like Mark, it's quite obvious. Mark wrote me that rap. Like, it's this, what would be funny from Kevin? And it shifts gears really fast and it does a lot. You can tell it's written to be moving around the stage. Okay. And so for that, it fit like a glove. So I think that hits the mark. But a lot of stuff, I would argue, not naming names. Sometimes it's too clever by half, the actual content of what's written. Like what's great for me about Rossini is, it's not overwritten. Like it allows me to find the comedy in it, right? Does that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's all on the page. If it's too good, it's all on the page. Yeah. And the audience doesn't have time looking at the page. They're looking at the.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. And so it flies right past them.
Yeah.
So it's too clever by half. That was a really great witticism 10 seconds ago. What's going on now? I'm confused.
Yeah. Plus they're reading the super titles and not really engaged with, and that we teach them to not look on stage, And like I'm
so hard.
I'm two minds of it because I understand like. For a lot of things, like you need to,
Yes.
But there are some things, I promise you, they're not saying much. Just watch.
That's right, watch. And it's my goal. It's my goal in life. I am so hopeful you're not looking at the titles right now. Yeah. It is not, anyway. What was one of my favorite quotes? And I'm going to misquote it, but it's like art does not give you permission to bore people. Yeah. And like, I'm going to entertain you. And I'm going to hope that you're looking at me doing, like the Bartolo, the thing you saw, the Bartolo that you saw. Yeah. I personally don't think yoga is funny. Mm-hmm. And the director's like, we're going to do yoga. Stephen Barlow, genius. And I'm like, okay, now we have to do a deep dive on this. We have to figure out what's funny about it. And we found it. What's funny about it is Bartolo's doing patter, and he's tightly wound, and he's trying to relax because he really wants to keep Rosina in, and he really doesn't want his world to fall apart, but it is falling apart. So he's tightly wound. And how am I going to relax with bad yoga, right? And then finally,
tense yoga
while doing patter. It's obviously not going to work when you're doing patter. What are you talking? And that to me actually is funny. And then it went by fast, and then because the yoga wasn't working, I got muscle relaxants. I took pills in the middle of it. And that's when it did
for the performance, not in real life.
Both. Yeah. And and that's when I slid out of the chair because out of nowhere the pills hit. Yeah. And I was like, and I just slid out of the chair. Yeah. So stupid.
That side of the chair was hilarious, but I kept thinking, what if you hit your head on the chair?
I almost did. Yeah. But I had a little wig to hold it on. One time I took the wig off when I slid down. It's always different. What do they say? Performing for me, for some people, this is not true. I just got passionate about something. Like for me, and this is not everyone. I just came from the auditions, the young artist auditions, industry auditions here at Santa Fe, and like everyone's different, and we're all listening for different things. Mm-hmm. So I get it. I don't judge. I'm not going to judge if this is not what you. Some people this would not agree with this at all. But for me, performing is not Heraclitus's river. Mm-hmm. You never step in the same river twice. You just never step in the same river twice. And you never step in a performance the same way twice. Like it's a different night. I'm a different human being. I'm vibrating differently. It's always going to be different. And there are other people like, absolutely, it's Heraclitus. It's not like, it is right there. This is it on the page. This is what you have to do. Our goal is to hit this. And that's not me. Yeah. My goal is not, but neither is it Pat Cop, and neither was it Horowitz, and neither was it like these people that like, for me, they're telling a story, man. And they're like, it's going to be different every time. And that's and maybe it's worse because of it.
Duke Kim just walked by and you gave him the bird. That's awesome.
Sorry about that.
We all want to do that every now and then.
You have to set people up and then break expectation. That's comedy. Anyway, you get my point.
Yeah,
like, for me, it's always different. The text of music is performance. Yeah. The text of music is not what's on the page.
I mean, I'm a early music person, and I get in trouble when I sing Messiah because like I never sing the same cadenza
Of course
twice.
You don't. Of course you. I mean, to your credit, not of course you don't. Yeah. Hats off, by the way. But that's I think goals with a Z.
Yeah. So the Z. Are you New Zealander now?
I can't do the accent.
Okay, so you were talking about the auditions, and you've already said a couple of like isms that I feel like maybe happen in your coachings, But I want to know more about this experience of being, I know you're not a young artist here, but what do you think their experience is here and what can be gained from being here at Santa Fe? I mean, I could see as an audience member, they're getting some stage experience in Rigoletto, like doing a dance and like they've learned all these choruses and they get to be near, Elena Villalon, like whatever, singing her
face
hair,
off.
Her hair off.
Her hair off, exactly, literally, yeah.
But what else is the experience here at Santa Fe for them?
It's such a good question. I mean, I think it's a gift. Like it's like, okay, so let me step back. I came up at New York City Opera. Okay. And so for me, the greatest training I had was sitting off stage, doing the smallest role in Ballad of Baby Doe and watching Elizabeth Futrall and Mark Delavan and Joyce Castle.
Joyce Castle, yes.
What? Perform. And and rehearse and watch them rehearse. This was before cell phones. So I couldn't sit off on the side and just, play Wordle or whatever.
And you're not a knitter.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly. Right. So that's what I learned from watching them, from watching Bob Orth. Like actually, Bob, that would be going back to the Paolo Montresolo thing. Yeah. Right after I worked with Paolo, I did a L'Etoile at Glimmerglass with a wonderful Tor Blaisdell. And then we did a City Opera. Bob was the main tenor. And we had a scene in the middle of one of the rehearsals with Mark Lamos, a great director. And he's like, let's try something different. Follow me. And Bob just did something funny to him. And I followed him like, oh my gosh, we can do that. We can even in a remount, we can sort of do something different and funny. What's of the moment? Bob, I should have said Bob in the first place. Yeah. Anyway, I learned from this. And so hopefully you sit and you watch Michael Chioli perform Rigoletto on stage with him. You're definitely picking something up. Also, you are making these great connections. You're making great connections with a really good music staff, wonderful music staff, one of the best music staff in the world. And then a rotating group of Donald Palumbo comes in and coaches them. Donald Palumbo, just the best in the world at what he does.
Yeah.
So that is a gift, so long as, did I just break the phone?
No, it's fine. It's good.
I just screamed that. So long as you, as a young artist, are able to take all of that feedback and then process it and then apply that which helps and try and then reject that which doesn't help. And that's a high bar, but it's something I work with them. I talk to them. I talk to them about that.
Yeah. And so, but they're doing auditions today. I've missed them, but they're doing auditions and there are all these people in the audience there that can make their career.
Correct. And which is a huge gift, but also terrifying.
Yeah. But also trying to take that information that they've been receiving and trying to decide in the moment, what do I need to apply?
It's so hard. It's so hard. Can I tell? I'll tell a story. I won't mention any names.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. There was a tenor who sang at Goddard this morning. He's in the Houston program. It was a really great performance. Okay. He's got the voice and he cares about telling a story. All of them, it was a great morning. Specifically though, he had asked me, maybe, what do you think about maybe at the beginning of the aria kneeling down beside the grave? I really want to do that. And I'm a very much, if you want to do something, do it, baby, because you're telling your story. On the other hand, we have 100 people in the audience and maybe I'm the only one who's going to get what you're doing. And so it's like, we talked about it and I endorsed it. And then the rehearsal, he did it. And I was listening and some of the people were not so sure about it. And then I thought about it. I talked to Stephen Cole recently about it. And Stephen's like, he didn't need to do it. He didn't, people won't get it. And he can show his sadness in his voice. I promise. He's a good singer. He can show his sadness in his voice. And so I gave him that feedback 2 nights ago. He had 2 days to think about it. He didn't kneel. And it was even more powerful because it's like, I don't know if there was
the intention to kneel.
Yeah, the intention to kneel. It's like not crying is more powerful than crying. You know what I mean? Like trying not to cry is more powerful than crying. And he was like, and he sang the line, like, I got chills thinking about it. Like, good for you. But he had to process that. Dude had to process that in less than 48 hours. For me, I'm not the be all and end all, but I was definitely one he thought would say yes to it. And he crushed it. Like, good for you, dude. What a big ask. That's so hard.
Before we started recording, you were talking about, the amount of skill we have to get on stage.
Oh, it's stupid.
And all the layers of things we have to prepare for. And just to be
correct
a young artist at Santa Fe is already saying, okay, you've done this much work already,
Yes, please. Yes, this. Absolutely that. You're an artist who happens to be younger than I am, which is really not hard to be younger than me, but anyway.
Yeah, but there are things that have to be developed.
Correct.
And there needs to be people you can trust who can guide you in those directions. Yeah.
Got to have people you trust. And it doesn't have to be everyone. And also you're not going to, not everyone's going to like you, in my opinion. Not everyone's going to like you. And that's the way it goes. And like my best years, I'm going to make up a number. My best year, I had 6 gigs. And there were 6 good gigs, but there were 6 gigs. And that's 6 people there were 150 hiring people there. 6 of them liked me that year. And that was my best year. You're not going to please everyone, but have the people you trust. Find a champion, hopefully. And that's another thing they get here at Santa Fe is that Chandler cares deeply about having a successful summer for them, but also having a successful career thereafter. So now they have a champion in Chandler and they have a champion in David, and that is invaluable.
How do you, people, it's clear what your brand is. You have a very specific brand. How do you think?
Annoy people.
Never talk in the microphone. How do you think somebody this age, no spit takes, please, this age figure out what their brand is?
What is the word? Question. That is such a good question.
Because they're getting so much feedback,
Yes.
And people like trying to tell them what their FOC is and they don't even
correct. And they don't know.
They don't listen to enough opera to even know what they're talking about.
That is a problem. Can I say, I'm not going to answer your question because that's such a good point. You have to listen. You got to listen to recordings.
Yeah.
Like you got to listen. You do not have to do it to mimic that. Yeah. Please don't.
Yeah.
But we stand on the shoulders of giants. Let's listen to it. Let's learn from it. Yeah. How do you find your brand?
And just to dovetail off of that, like we're also, and this is obvious to the audience, in this era where you have access to everything.
Yes.
So you don't know what's important because
that's right.
You can see and hear everything,
You don't know what's important.
Whereas before there was
too much information.
Yeah, there was definitely, a lot more gatekeeping. There still is, don't get me wrong, but a lot more gatekeeping.
You're right.
And record labels were telling you these are the people.
The record labels drove everything almost. Yeah. Like the record labels would.
Yeah. But now it's like a complete equal playing field.
Yeah.
So. And so the cream rises to the top, you know?
I love
Hopefully,
that.
you know?
Hopefully, that's the idea.
Yeah.
I'll say I'm gonna start a story,
Okay.
and I'll see if I can tie it into this.
Okay. And I'll just cut you off if it's not.
Please.
Okay, so
Anyway, okay, I'll stop. There was a book back in the early aughts called "The Art of Fielding" by Chad someone. And
about gay baseball, right?
baseball. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Check this out.
Yeah.
We're on Opera Box Score, baby.
I haven't read it, but I know because if it's gay, I know about it.
Amazing. All right. So in The Art of Fielding, oh my gosh. Someone gets the yips and can't throw. A second baseman can't throw to first, like Chuck Knoblauch for the Yankees back in the 90s. Now we're getting deep into sports.
I love it.
Yeah. There was a make-believe manual that talks about the art of fielding, and in it says there are 3 stages. There is thoughtless being. This is for throwing the ball to first. There's thoughtless being. You can just throw the ball to first. My son, who's 6, could probably throw the ball to first. And then there's thought. You have to actually then learn how to develop the technique to throw it better and catch the ball, and then you have return to thoughtless being. And we shouldn't confuse the two. Thoughtless beings, everyone experiences the first, and very few the return to thoughtless being. And this is what I talk to young artists about, because you may not remember this after being picked on a lot every day about your whatever, your diction and your dome and your whatever. You love to sing, right? And there was a point when like singing for you was just thoughtless being. And now here we are at Santa Fe, we're doing thought, and it's wildly important, or in Houston, or wherever you are. Wildly important to have the thought in the coachings and the voice lessons and the whatever you're doing thought. But then finally, you're going to have to return to thoughtless being.
Yeah.
And that's where the magic happens.
I'm going to give you my next question and then rephrase what you said.
Great. So I need time to think about the questions because my answers are so meaningless.
No. Just because we're running out of time. I want you to talk about Santa Fe outside of the opera and like for people coming here for the first time, things not to miss, things that are maybe not touristy that you think are great experiences, secret places in the Santa Fe the opera campus, maybe that audiences might not know about, anything awesome. Like that. Yes. Okay, so while you're thinking about that, I want to just say what you said in a different way. Better. Because I did one of these. I did one of these stupid like corporate like management training things, And I was a restaurant manager.
Love it.
And we were talking about how sometimes you get so good at your job that you forget that you're doing it too well.
Interesting.
And you forget that it's work for other people, So as a leader, you have to remember these 4 stages. There's the unconsciousness.
Okay.
This is when you don't know anything.
Correct.
And you're obviously not doing badly at it because you even know that it's a thing,
Yes.
Then there's the conscious unconsciousness. That's the stage where you realize there are things you don't know and you need to
Beautiful. Yeah.
Then there's the conscious consciousness where you are in the process of learning and you're actively doing it.
Yes.
And sensitive.
That's great. Yes.
And then the last stage is the worst one is the unconscious consciousness. Yeah. That's where you're too good and you're not even thinking about it anymore. And maybe that's when actually mistakes can happen or you can lose concentration because you're too good,
Absolutely.
So you need to always remind yourself to come back to conscious consciousness.
Conscious consciousness.
Yeah. But that's the same thing.
It's the exact same thing. Yeah. And it just happened. Things I love about Santa Fe are hiking. Yeah. And it happened on the way down from Moon Mountain, which is a great hike here in town with my son. And the hard part, there's bouldering at the top.
You just broke a bunch of gay men's hearts by saying that.
I tell you what, it's because it's not, no one can see me. We had to boulder at the top. And so he's 6, so he's a little young for that, but we got through it. And then he had to come down the boulders. And then, and he did all that great. But then we got on just a little incline with a couple loose rocks and he wiped out because it was
unconscious consciousness. Yeah.
No, you got to focus still, baby. Yeah. You just got to go.
Yeah.
Okay. So I love that. It's different from the 4 stages of an opera singing career. Do you know those?
No, tell me.
Peter Cazares says there's 5, so I'll cook 2 into 1. Okay. There's Who is Kevin Burdette? Get me Kevin Burdette.
Yeah.
Get me someone like or cheaper than.
Yeah.
Kevin Burdette.
Younger Kevin Burdette.
Exactly. Yeah. And then Who is Kevin Burdette?
Yeah. Okay.
And so long as you're not in that last one, you're doing just fine, baby.
Okay.
And everyone listening is like, but really, who is Kevin Burdette? Never heard of him.
Yeah, but I feel like Rolando Villazón for a while was the Robin Williams of at least of his repertoire.
He's so funny too. Yeah. Like in real life, I don't know if you've ever talked to him.
I've just seen him
so
candidly.
Funny.
Yeah,
We were young artists together.
It's a lot, so.
We would go out and tell jokes, swap back and forth. And his are very like, mine were a little more intellectual joke, like word jokes, and he would like, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. He's so funny. I love that Robin Williams thing because how could you not? But like Robin Williams also, like he felt, and and he was on when he was on, and when he wasn't on, he was shut down. I think I'm led to believe, and that is very much me. Like I'm going to turn it on for you because I love you. And for a stage, but then when I go home, like there's going to be a concomitant low. Yeah, where I'm just doing.
I get that all the time. Trust me. Like, I'm a very social person. Like, I'm very good in lots of people. Like, then I go home like I'm so depressed.
Totally. Yeah. Ronaldo's the best, and he's like sincerely very. So many funny tenors, and it's tough because they're not allowed to be so much. Like Alex Schrader.
Only so many Pedrillos you can.
Correct. That's right. Like Alex Schrader is so funny. Okay. But it's not his job. It's not your job as Tonio to be funny. It's my job as Soul Peace. Yeah. Stop.
Okay. Santa Fe tips.
The hike. I would say my favorite place on campus. There used to be way down behind the Opera House. Okay. There used to be a place where there was a volleyball net and a horseshoes place. Okay. And I would go down there for many years and just go play horseshoes before every show.
And now it's a pickleball court.
How'd you know?
No. Is it? I'm kidding.
No, it's not. Okay. It's nothing. You have to climb a fence to get there. But every summer I go down there and I'm really into sort of the patina of a place, and I like to feel the vibrations. It's so weird. I know it's
hippie. It's a family show, so put the patina away.
My bad. Oh wait. But like I go down there and I just feel the vibrations. I do that on stage. When I was at the Liceo, can I just drop her name? When I was at Scala, first thing I do.
You walk on the stage.
Touch the ground.
Do you take your shoes off?
I should, but I use my hands. Okay. And I'm like, this, like the sounds that have made this space, the vibrations, it's unbelievable. Yeah.
My mentor wants us to take off our socks and just like feel the stage with your toes.
I should do that. I'm going to start doing that.
I'm Filipino, so like it's just, you see like this Fred Flintstone footprint, just like no arch,
Oh, that's brilliant. That's it.
That's rice picking feet. Yeah. So.
Choza is my favorite New Mexican cuisine. La Choza. I committed to you. If you want a good breakfast burrito, it's got to be el chile toreado. Okay. For me, no disrespect to anyone else. Yeah. Those like I said, the hikes. Talking about baseball. Yeah. There's a Cactus League team here, semi-pro, I guess, called the Fuego, the Santa Fe Fuego. Okay. They play at Fort Marcy Park. It's the most fun I ever had at a baseball game because you're right there with them. They'll talk to you. The outfielders will talk to you. It's a total blast. Make room for it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And nowhere in there was there an expensive massage at a fake Japanese.
Less. No, but I love 2,000 Ways, man.
Yeah. Okay. Izanami's great. Naming names, there's other.
I won't name names, but there's a clothing optional policy there, and
No, it's canceled.
Is it canceled?
Yeah, it's no longer. That's why I would go.
There used to be.
I know.
I was there, and my wife went. She was like, "What? Who cares? Just drop trowel." And then like half the cast of Marriage of Figaro in 2013 walked in, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is the worst."
I actually think that's why they canceled the policies.
They did. Yeah, it's like complaint.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about because like opera attracts a certain audience. It's correct. Like, okay, all right, in July, just make sure.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, Kevin Burdette, you have been the worst guest of all time. So I'm so embarrassed that I asked you on. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, man. What a pleasure. Let's just don't even record it. Let's just keep talking. It's a gas.
My thanks to Kevin Burdette for taking the time. Performances of La Bohème, where he is singing Benoit and Alcindoro, continue. There are 3 performances left. August 14th, 19th, and 23rd. And thanks as well to the crack PR team at Santa Fe Opera.
Hey, why don't you help us spread the word and all of these amazing reports that we're getting back from cool places like Santa Fe and Opera Box by giving us a rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And you know what? If you have a few extra moments, why don't you write a review? Only if it's nice, however.
Free throw.
Florian Sempey made his American debut this summer at Santa Fe Opera, singing one of his signature roles, Count Almaviva in The Marriage of Figaro. I consider Sempey to be a specialist in French Baroque repertoire, as well as Mozart and Rossini. I believe now, as he's making his American debut, he's signaling a larger step into the full-fledged Cavalier baritone repertoire.
Into it?
Yeah, and we'll talk a little about that. Here is Florian Sempey from his newest album, singing Hamlet's aria from the Thomas opera, Au vin dissipe la tristesse.
tristesse qui pèse sur mon cœur. À moi les rêves de l'ivresse et le rire moqueur, où liqueur enchanteresse verse l'ivresse l'oubli dans mon cœur. Douce liqueur, où liqueur enchanteresse verse l'ivresse dans mon cœur, où liqueur enchanteresse verse l'ivresse l'oubli dans mon cœur.
I'm talking today with Florian Sempey, who I just heard last night singing Count Almaviva in Marriage of Figaro as part of his American debut here in Saint Foy, New Mexico.
Bravo.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm just so glad to finally get to hear you. I've been enjoying your recordings all this time, and I've never heard you sing live until last night. And I'm so glad that it was good.
Well, I'll try, Yeah. I try my best.
Yeah, no, but I mean, my audience knows how much I care about early music and how much I, care about Rameau and French Baroque. And that's the repertoire that you started your career in. And just to see somebody like you get to the next stage where they're, singing in the U.S., not that that's like a goal for everybody, but it just suggests that you are accepted by a wider market, And that's important for the career, I wish that we could all just choose our little corner and do that little corner so well, but, that's not going to pay the bills,
Exactly. We have to widen our repertoire and experience. It's important. It's build your personality as an artist.
Do you feel that by singing in larger spaces and maybe moving into the more solid cavalier baritone repertoire that you have to sacrifice any of the subtilité, the nuance in what you do in the early music?
No, I don't. I think it's the opportunities which do the career and the repertoire you sing. It's what you're asked for, you're invited for. So 10 years ago, I was really singing a lot of French Baroque repertoire or Italian Baroque repertoire. But I mean, I can sing still today some French Baroque repertoire. And the fact is, I'm not asking. I'm not asked anymore for that. But, I think it's an experience. I have it in my skills, in my tools box, and I can use it again. I can't invite myself to theaters. They invite me, and they invite me right now for Mozart, Donizetti, Rossini, and French 19th century French repertoire. It's like that. Yeah.
I get that, and I'm happy that this is the path because I'm also big into bel canto. Do you distinguish between, we talked about it in our other interview, that you are willing to go with the blanche tones in the French Baroque, but when you are singing bel canto, Rossini or Donizetti, for example, do you ever see that there's a place, maybe I could do this here,
Oh, it's not really the same for the sound. Not really, because the blanche sound that you're talking about, you can't do a vibrato on it, or at the really end of the note.
Yeah.
But in Rossini or bel canto general repertoire, we need the natural vibrato of the voice on it.
Yeah.
So it's not really the same voice gesture, but it's the same breathing support of the voice gesture, exactly the same. It has to be very connected to the body, and at the same time very, souple, smooth. Very smooth way to use your support, to use your muscles.
Like fluid.
Yeah.
No, there's not a lot of people who sing French Baroque and bel canto. We can find some examples, but it's very, very few, I think because, especially if we're talking about like Lully, there's so much language to get through that I think the voice tends to get, the vibrato is held back, you don't get to the freedom of singing a melody,
Yes.
and if it's a melody, it's very short, So then when it calls for something arioso, you hear the voice is not quite warm, it still has a blush, even when they want to add, So I feel like people who do this music, they might get stuck, trying to do bel canto.
It could happen, Every artist, every person has their own story, their own path, their own. I can't say that, but I never was stuck in one repertoire. Even when I was singing a lot of French Baroque repertoire, I was already singing Figaro in Barber of Seville everywhere, and Italian and French repertoire. So I never was stuck really in a repertoire. I recognize that all the thing you learn in French Baroque repertoire helps you a lot to put then later repertoire in your body, helps a lot. But I mean, it's important, even during your studies, even while you're studying with your teacher, or if you're in a school or in a troupe like Opéra de Paris, it's very important to sing a lot of repertoire, sort of,
diversify,
of repertoire, not remain in one, not stay in one repertoire. It's not good. It's not good for the voice or the technique. Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't want to take more of your time, but I wanted to ask you about your relationship with Mark Minkowski.
Yeah.
I feel like...
Very good friend of mine.
Yeah, I feel like... I don't know if he selected you or if you selected him or how this began, but he recognized something, a quality in you, and he wanted to continue,
That's the right way to yeah, but I mean, I'm lucky enough to work with him for more than 10 years now. First audition I made for him, it was when I was at the Paris Opera School, Paris Opera Studio at Opéra de Paris, as a young artist, and I was invited to audition for him. And he told me, okay, we will work together. I want to work with you. We will work together. And I did the 20th anniversary of the Musiciens du Louvre at La Salle Pleyel in 2012. So, yes. And it was a great experience. And then I did my first Nozze di Figaro Conte with him in Stockholm. And then we did a tour with it. So, I mean, it's an amazing relationship because we are very connected for the expression, for the breathing. And I just did Per Fischer with him in Aix-en-Provence 2 weeks ago.
With Pene Patti.
With Pene.
Was it Amina?
No, it wasn't Amina. It was Elsa Benoit. And I felt what I feel with him when I sing with him for all these years. I felt exactly the same. And I mean, with one look, while we are not in rehearsal, also in rehearsals, but I mean during a performance, he's always connected to the singer, to the artist, looking at you, very close to you. He wants singers in the concert version, he wants singers to be very close to him. And I mean, it's the right way to do a concert version. And that's why I always say he's one of my favorite conductors ever, because there is this nature of generosity, of enthusiasm, of joy of doing music. And it's not something too academic or something too mental or too
scholarly.
No, it's wild sometimes. And that's what we need. With him I did all the repertoire I can sing. I did with him. I did my first Valentin with him, Faust, in Amsterdam. I did one of my first Rameau recording and Rameau experiences. I did Platé with him of Rameau in Opéra Garnier, the famous production of Laurent Pelli, the stage director of Nozze di Figaro here. I did Rossini. I did all the repertoire I can sing with him. So, and every time it's a new discovery, it's a new way to work. He's always using some special phrases that sometimes you don't understand, but you understand. You understand the gestures he wants from you, the vocal gesture or the musical gesture he wants for you, but using some strange phrases or strange images of. And what I like about him and Musiciens du Louvre is really that enthusiasm you have behind you when you're on stage. It brings you so deep in what you can do, and you do with a big gesture, it can give you suddenly a big gesture, and then your voice become twice powerful, and you don't know how technically you did it, but you did it because of him.
Well, he knows you, what you're capable of, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe he knows, you don't even know you're capable of it. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I'm very satisfied to hear this answer, because I see these relationships like he has with Magdalena Kozhina, there's this group in Boston that uses the same singers all the time. And, you know, you might say, aren't you tired of having this singer? It's like, no, we can do more because we know how we work together, you know?
Exactly.
And I want to ask you, but it's not fair because it puts you on the spot. But it makes me wonder, with somebody like you who has such a strong relationship with Mark, what is it like when you don't have that relationship, when you find yourself in an environment where it's just have to like, okay, I guess I'm going to do it that way, and I hide this part of myself because they're not asking for it.
I just do my job.
Yeah,
which means being kind. Yeah, trying to have a good relationship, even though I know we will never be friends. Yeah, doing my job is to respect, to give the most respectful rendition or respectful performance first of all for the composer, then for the audience, and then maybe at the end for myself. But I mean, that's my job, and my job is to be kind to all my colleagues around me, to all directors, conductors, colleagues, singer, everybody. Try to be kind, because when we work in a good mood, we always do a better job. That's so. When I feel that it's not Mark Minkowski, when it's somebody maybe more, somebody colder or somebody more less generous, I would say, I just do my job. You know, I sing what's written on the score with the same passion, with the same. I'm eager to really give the best I can do, and that's what I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can end right there, but if you would like to say something nice about Santa Fe, I think they'd like to hear it.
I mean, if you want artists to give the best of their skill, of their, I would say, to their artistic soul, just put them in the middle of nature with wonderful landscapes and great team around and wonderful sunsets and you get the best of artists. They give you the best. So here we feel warmly welcomed. Really, we feel like a family. We have strong connection between all the teams for different productions, and we're doing dinner and we go outside. We hang out with colleagues from La Bohème, from Tornado's crew, that's very good about Santa Fe, because it's really, of course, it's a summer festival, but it's really a family-like festival. It's not distant from the artist. It was made by an artist, for the artists, for the music, and it's sort of perfect alchemy between a place and an art.
My thanks to Florian for being a guest on Opera Box Score, and once again, thanks to the crack PR team at Santa Fe Opera for giving me access to the media room, especially to Christian Libonati, who was sort of my liaison this summer. Performances of The Marriage of Figaro, where Florian is singing the role of Almaviva, continue August 9th, 12th, 16th, and August 22nd.
This just in. The 2-minute drill.
All right, listen up. Here's everything you need to know about what happened in Operaland this week.
The Metropolitan Opera has been deceived by a fraudulent $15 million pledge from Matthew Christopher Pietras, according to an expose in New York Magazine. In March, Peter Gelb announced the major gift, but when the company attempted to process a transfer, banks flagged it as fraudulent and blocked the transaction. 2 days after the failed transfer, Pietras was found dead in his apartment. The scandal has forced Peter Gelb to repeatedly dip into the opera's endowment. The Met now faces both financial uncertainty and a PR disaster as it scrambles to address the aftermath.
Federal judge says Anna Netrebko can move forward with her discrimination case with the Metropolitan Opera, which dropped her after she refused to repudiate Vladimir Putin. The Met said in a brief statement that the case was, quote, reinstated on technical grounds and expressed confidence that Netrebko's claims would not succeed.
It's likely they didn't hear our puns last week, a new opera about Melania Trump is set to premiere in London in September. Melania, the opera, imagines a scenario of Russian troops already annexing Ukraine, Hungary, and Romania. While Melania is delivering an anti-bullying speech, it is announced that the troops will invade her native Slovenia, creating inner turmoil around her allegiances. The opera was written by cabaret singer Melinda Hughes, who also portrays the title character.
Lydia Yankovskaya is joining the list of classical musicians leaving the United States. Former COT music director is moving to London, where she says cultural institutions are supported by a robust public funding apparatus. I want to be sure that my children can grow up feeling like they can always express themselves freely. I want my children to live in a society that really takes care of its people. I want my children to live in a world that really values things like the arts, that really values things like education, she told WBEZ. Can we go?
In a program tailor-made for Opera Box Score, Jonathan Telemann will perform at Carnegie Hall in 2026 with Yankees legend and Latin Grammy-nominated guitarist Bernie Williams. The pair will be joined by Jose Reyes of the New York Mets and Stefan Marbury of the New York Knicks. This will mark the first time a professional athlete has ever accompanied a world-class opera singer on the Carnegie Hall stage.
In trade news, State Theater Nuremberg has named Killian Farrell its new general music director and chief conductor starting in 2027. Peggy Creon Miller will serve as Kentucky Opera's interim general director and CEO, and Opera Birmingham has appointed Natalie Bergeron to the position of executive and artistic director, a role she already began on August 1st. Congratulations to all, and may the odds be ever in your favor.
On the disabled list, due to health reasons, Nadine Sierra has canceled a performance each of La Traviata and Rigoletto at Arena di Verona. To the audience and the entire production team, please accept my sincerest apologies. I am truly sorry for any disappointment or inconvenience this may cause. Thank you for your understanding and kindness. In her place, Gilda Fiume has already performed the role of Violetta on August 2nd, and Nina Manassian will sing the role of Gilda in Rigoletto on August 8th.
Exit stage right. Operatic bass and former professional ballet dancer Seth Malkin has suddenly passed away. Malkin had sung in the Metropolitan Opera Chorus since 1996 and became a full-time member of the company in 2005. He also sang various roles with the Opera Orchestra of New York, Santa Fe, New Orleans, Seattle, and New York City operas. And the celebrated American director, playwright, and visual artist Robert Wilson has died at age 83. Wilson was known for his minimalist aesthetic, slow movement, and stunning visual tableau. His works, including collaborations like Einstein on the Beach with Philip Glass, challenged traditional narrative structures, prioritizing evocative imagery and atmosphere over linear storytelling. Stay tuned for a tribute from George Cederquist after the drill.
And on this day, August 5th, two world premieres by Alessandro Scarlatti. It was Daphne in 1700 and Il Pastore di Corinto in 1701. Birthdays include composer Antonio Cesti, born this day in 1623, composer Leonardo Leo in 1694, composer Ambroise Thomas in 1811, mezzo-soprano Maria Slavina in 1858. She created the role of Concha Kobna in Prince Igor and the Countess in Pique Dame. In 1890, Austrian conductor Erich Kleiber was born. That's August 5th on this day.
And that's your 2-minute drill.
Hey, Opera Box Score listeners, it's executive producer George Cederquist. When I left the airwaves at the end of last season to simply work behind the scenes on the show, I had a feeling I'd be back at some point to deliver a brief piece. I didn't realize it would be so soon, and I certainly didn't think it would be a tribute to director Robert Wilson. Robert Wilson died at his home in upstate New York on July 31st at the age of 83. And in his death, our country has lost probably its greatest living auteur director. Possibly Peter Sellers could be in the mix for that. Although, as you'll hear me talk about briefly, there was kind of nobody like Robert Wilson. Robert Wilson was born in Waco, Texas, and moved to New York City in his 20s to go to college. This was in the 1960s, and threw himself into the downtown arts scene with a very unique, specific vision. He really is hard to classify because he thought reality in my opinion, was overrated. He really never embraced realism in any sense of the word, not in his work as a playwright, not as his work as a director in dance, in film. Towards the end of his career, he was actually making video installations with the likes of Lady Gaga. And his work is sort of undefinable, I think. 1976 has got to be the most seminal work of his. This, of course, was the Philip Glass opera Einstein on the Beach. It would be revived over the years around the world, including, I think, most recently at the Brooklyn Academy of Music in 2012. Its epicness, of course, is widely known, a 6-hour piece of music theater where audience members were invited to leave the theater and return. But it was its use of light and space in a way that no one ever really expected or really had ever seen before. His work would, of course, include Shakespeare. It would include opera. In 1998, he directed a production of Lohengrin at the Metropolitan Opera. And Joel Volpe, who was the manager there, said in defense of the piece, quote, "Everything that is called for in Lohengrin is there." When you look at the production photos, it is classic Robert Wilson. It is characters of all genders dressed in gowns of block colors, black, white, red. The design is geometric, and the actors are moving with this incredibly slow and steady pace. I like to think as Robert Wilson being as much a choreographer as a director. And indeed, I remember a conversation some years ago when I was working in Germany. Drink! To a singer who had been in a number of Robert Wilson's productions. And he said it was actually very liberating to be in a Robert Wilson production because he was so precise about how fast he wanted you to move, what part of the body he wanted you to move, where he wanted that part of the body to land up to synchronize with a very specifically hung and focused instrument, that it was very liberating to make music, to create a sense of character. I don't even know if Wilson himself really believed in the idea of character. That it was incredibly liberating to be in one of his productions because he was so micromanaging, and I don't use that in an unkind way, that it freed the singer-actor to do what they do best, which is make fantastic music. He worked across so many different art forms: directing, playwriting, dance, film, videography, photography. And as I said at the beginning of this tribute, I don't think we have another auteur in this country like Robert Wilson at the moment. Probably at some point we will. The irony, of course, being that much of Wilson's work actually took place overseas in Europe. At the time of his death, he had just directed an adaptation of Kipling's The Jungle Book in England. He had done a theater piece which had played in London, Paris, and Stockholm, and his revival of Madame Butterfly was slated to open at the Bastille in Paris in September. I assume that's still going to go ahead and go on. Robert Wilson, rest in peace.
Thank you to the executive producer of Opera Box Score, George Cederquist, for his reflection on Robert Wilson, who was truly a spectacular individual. Oliver, I have a slight 2 degrees of Kevin Bacon to Robert Wilson. One of his muses, Cheryl Sutton, is someone that I worked with in a professional setting. And so I got to learn a little bit about Robert Wilson through, someone who worked with him pretty intimately. And so it is he's a spectacular human, and that is quite the loss. And what might be the worst transition today? Speaking of loss, holy fraudulent Met donation, Batman! My goodness, how much do you know about this whole thing, Oliver?
I started reading the article, and it had sort of like flavor of George Santos at the beginning. And then it sort of felt like, this poor guy who was dating him and thought maybe like he found his, whatever sugar daddy type of situation. And that all became very apparent that this guy was a grifter. I think it's going to make an incredible movie one day, or maybe what's that guy, Ryan Murphy?
It is a Ryan Murphy show if I've ever seen one.
It's so gay. Yeah. So I cannot wait to see who he casts. But yeah, I mean, can we blame the Met for this? I feel like it's not really their fault,
No, it is absolutely not. I mean, they're the ones that are going to be embarrassed and have to keep dipping into their endowment from it. But I mean, the thing is like, this guy, Pietros, he started out as like a legitimate donor. He actually was donating some money that was, kind of actually his. And then things just got bigger and bigger and bigger he seemingly became addicted to the excess. He also seemingly became addicted to injectors and fillers because as you see him towards the end, he's truly got a case of Mar-a-Lago face. He looks like a completely different person, however lovely, but he was cute before. So the whole thing is it's very, very sad to see how this all ended. I mean, the story itself is wild, but the fact that it ended with somebody deceased in an apartment is quite the bummer. But also maybe donate money that's yours instead of falsifying records for other philanthropists. But at any rate, that was a very interesting little story. There's a couple of articles. There's one on ArtNet that does a pretty good job of sort of laying out the whole narrative, listeners, if you're interested in learning about that.
The New York Magazine one you can find pretty easily, but it has behind a paywall. But we'll link to the ArtNet version on operaboxscore.com.
Absolutely. Now, Oliver, you've had a whole week to think about additional Melania opera puns. Now that we've got an entire opera that's going to be happening overseas, have you thought of any additionals, or do you have any thoughts or comments on this new opera that's coming out?
Well, the thing is that, that assignment that you gave us, I misunderstood it. So I had Weston cut out.
Really funny.
I had Weston cut out my contributions to that dialogue last week, but one that didn't get included because I thought of it too late is Die Zauberflotus.
That's why we had to wait for it, because it was so good. Can that be what we call this new opera that's coming out? I love that they're giving her a crisis of faith and anti-bullying. I
just love the venomous personal assistant is a character in the show.
Absolutely. Big fan of a venomous personal assistant. Somebody who won't need one, at least on this side of the pond anyway, is friend of the show, Lydia Yankovskaya, who is joining the ranks of people that are moving to places that are a little bit more arts friendly. It's a bummer. I don't blame her though. She's the mother of young children. She's got, she certainly doesn't have the need to set up home base stateside for her career. But again, it bums me out. It really bums me out.
And finally, Jonathan Tettleman is somebody who I interviewed for my other job. I'm a big fan. He actually came to Chicago for a concert with Opera Festival Chicago. And he has a really interesting backstory. He used to be like a DJ, and he's sort of, is a very good looking, like matinee idol type, And I could totally see him leaning into his broiness being on stage with. I don't understand how these athletes are also musicians. You'll have to help me. You probably know these names better than I do, but yeah, what's it gonna be? I don't get it.
I have no idea what it's gonna be, but it's gonna be happening at Carnegie Hall in January. So I mean, again, this seems like it was a program that was tailor made for this show. So I feel like we should do some sort of road recording and go see this thing. The people that, on its face, when you read the description, you're like, why are these sports people doing this? But each of these folks have some sort of tie into music as one of their additional interests besides being, professional athletes or retired professional athletes. Jose Reyes actually released a music video, Vivimo Caro, like 7 or 8 years ago. It was definitely in the before times, pre-pandemic. And then Stefan Marbury has done lots of different things. He actually had a musical about his life that happened in 2014. He's definitely done some things that you can hear on Spotify. The musical tells the story of his time when he played in Beijing, because he played basketball in Beijing before, I think, and after he played in the NBA. So I have no idea what this is going to be like, but I am I now have a history and a habit of going to random US cities for once in a lifetime performances. Maybe this is just going to be another one of those. And in the meantime, let's wrap this show up.
Good call. Bad call on Opera Box Score.
Good call, bad call. How we end every show. This week, there's just going to be 2 of those calls. Oliver, we'll start with yours.
Well, I have a lot to say, so I'm going to try to make it quick. First of all, some good calls for articles that appeared in the New Yorker magazine quite recently. First, David Denby's Can Dave Hurwitz Save Classical Recording? And then just very recently, Alex Ross's article on the Bruzzane record label. I recommend reading both of those. They'll be linked to our website. Santa Fe Opera. I had a wonderful time. The PR team takes care of me so much. I always feel so privileged to be there. Always great vibes. Vida Minkiewicz as Sieglinde in Die Walküre, I think sort of won the season with her performance, especially that last bit in Act 3. Her sort of farewell arioso, I forget what it's called in German, but that was maybe the best singing I heard all year. Congratulations to a friend of the show, Ryan Speedo Green, for his coming out as Wotan. That's a Wotan we have many years with, and he was great in this production. Elena Villolone, another friend of the show, also was remarkable as Gilda in Rigoletto. And congratulations to a friend of the show, Duke Kim, for his, I think, role debut as the Duke in Rigoletto. I think the show that was the most satisfying musically was Turn of the Screw with friends of the show, Jacqueline Stucker and Gemma New. Bad call for the New York Times obituary of David Rendell, the tenor David Rendell, father of friend of the show, Hugh Montague Rendell. I don't want you to look for this review and give them any clicks. I just think it's in very poor taste, and I'm very disappointed in that unnecessary obituary.
My good call, unsurprisingly, is Everything Magical that is Cynthia Erivo. If you have not looked up a video of her performing Gethsemane, it is worth every second. She received, reports are, between a 2 and 3 minute standing ovation after Gethsemane during opening night. I was one of those people who was openly weeping and clapping. And it is really just, if you want to see what real interpretation can be in terms of good singing technique, it's not operatic technique. She doesn't go into the scrawly rock that is reserved for the other characters in the show. She sings with her own voice. She sings full out. She sings full belt. She sings immediately after that with like a gorgeous light mixed flip that has this beautiful delicacy and sensitivity. So if you just want to see some straight up good singing with good interpretation, Cynthia doing Gethsemane will do that for you. That is it for this week's edition of America's Talk Radio Show about opera. Let's make sure you subscribe to the show, will you? Wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get that voice heard and find links to stuff that we've talked about on our website, which is what? operaboxscore.com. That is also where you can put your money where our mouths are. You can give back to the OBS using the Support the Team tab. Your announcer is Norm Woodell, your creative consultant is Oliver Camacho, and your audio editor is Weston Williams. The executive producer of OBS is George Cederquist. For our guests, Kevin Burdette and Florian Sempey, I am Ashley Hardgrave, asking you to continue the conversation about opera with your venomous personal assistant. We're back with an all-new show next week when tenor Nicholas Pond takes a free throw on winning a Grammy Award. Plus, you'll get more opera headlines, more hot takes, and more Flotus opera puns. Join us.